Welcome to Carnoustie, Scotland. Carnoustie has hosted major championships for over 60 years and, in the opinion of many, is golf's greatest challenge. Hole 1, Cup. Some 50 yards in front of the first tee, you are introduced to the notorious Barry Burn, which threads its way through the links. It flows up the left side of the hole, but there is plenty of room on the rising fairway, the widest on the course. The best line to the hidden green is towards the high ground on the left, known as the battery. The green is hidden in a hollow, surrounded by rough mounding and a bunker on the right. Playing into the prevailing wind in the first round in 1953, the legendary Ben Hogan needed a 2-iron to get home. Next day, downwind, he reached it with a 9-iron, highlighting the wind factor, which often changes with the turn of the tide. Hole 2, Gully. The second is a long dogleg to the right, played down a narrow valley between the sand dunes. There are 10 bunkers on this hole, the most famous of which is Braid's bunker, set to intimidate the drive in the middle of the fairway. The modern professionals, however, easily make the 235 yards carry, but the fairway narrows considerably beyond. In 1975, Tom Weiskopf dragged his shot well left. The ball, heading for thick gorse bushes, was brought to a painful halt by a policeman's midriff. The bobby got a bruised belly and an autograph ball from the big man, who found a decent lie and got his par. The second shot is usually crosswind, making the already narrow target of this long green even narrower. Hole 3, Jockey's Burn. It was James Braid, commissioned in 1926 to turn Carnoustie into a championship course, who moved the third tee back to its present elevated position above the second green. This is the highest point on the course and affords an inspiring view over Carnoustie Bay to the right and the links to the left. The change made the previously straight hole into a dogleg, and following recent green and fairway remodelling, it is one of the most deceptive holes on the course. If scoring well at the second is like slugging it out with a heavyweight boxer, parring the third is more akin to cracking a safe, requiring patience, guile and a steady nerve. The tee shot needs to be precise to hit the required fairway position to suit the pin placement on the contoured green. Hole 4, Hillocks. This dogleg again calls for precision from the tee if trouble is to be avoided. When Gary Player won the Open in 1968, he played down the adjacent 15th fairway each time, a strategy which would have won him few friends on a busy Saturday morning. In fact, in his last round, he almost finished up on the neighbouring Burnside course. He then carried a 3-wood over the waiting bunkers and onto the green. The fourth is Carnoustie's only double green, shared with the 14th. In the 75 Open, Jack Nicklaus's second shot was so long, it looked as if he had played to the wrong flag. Fortunately, he sank his 20-yard putt for a birdie and went on to an opening round of 69. Hole 5, Bray. The tee shot requires much more thought nowadays, with the introduction of 2 new bunkers on the left side of the fairway. The Bray that gives the hole its name is the incline rising up towards the third tee on which the green is built, an intimidating split level affair that runs nearly 60 yards from front to back, all uphill. In his final round in 1953, Hogan arrived here tied for the lead with Roberto Di Vincenzo. He dragged his second shot left and it came to rest just outside the greenside bunker, some 20 yards from the pin. Hogan surveyed the shot impassively for several minutes, then selected a 9-iron, nipped the ball up cleanly, and to gasp of amazement from the crowd, rolled it into the hole for a birdie. Hole 6, Long. The sixth at Carnoustie is one of the great par 5s in golf. Played into the prevailing westerly wind, with out of bounds all the way down the left side, bunkers in the middle of the fairway, including a new addition some 30 yards beyond, a ditch creeping in on the right, and finally a well-guarded contoured green, all to be negotiated before a par can go down on the card. Twice on the final day in 1953, Hogan, locally known as the Wee Iceman, discarded the safe line to the right and chose instead to play down the narrow strip of fairway to the left, between the bunkers and the out-of-bounds fence. Taking this courageous line paid off, as he hit brassy second shots onto the green approach and secured birdies both times. This strip of fairway has ever since been known as Hogan's Alley. Hole 7, Plantation. The 7th is the first really straight hole, with out-of-bounds all down the left-hand side and a pair of menacing bunkers to the right. Here you need to make sure you hit the fairway. Unfortunately, Reg Whitcomb, the leader after 3 rounds in the 1937 Open, didn't. In the heavy rain that characterised the final 18 holes, his driver slipped in his hands and he found one of the fairway bunkers. It cost him a 6, and despite a strong finish, he eventually lost to Cotton by 2 shots. The 7th green has caused many problems over the years. The green is one of the shallowest on the course and slopes away from front to back. Colin Montgomery, however, on his way to a course record of 64 in the 1995 Scottish Open, didn't need his putter here as he chipped in for a birdie 3. Hole 8, short. You wait a long time at Carnoustie for your first par 3, but when it arrives you may well be disappointed. Almost invariably played into a crosswind, finding the green rather than sand, gorse or the neighbouring Budden course can be a real achievement, as the out-of-bounds fence runs within a few yards of the green down the left, not to mention the 4 greenside bunkers. The raised green is slightly crowned with a deceptive hollow in front, which is invisible from the tee. Nicklaus and Weiskopf, however, in calmer conditions, totaled 3 shots between them in a 1975 practice round. Nicklaus nailed his tee shot stone dead, 2.5 feet from the flag. Weiskopf, obviously determined to keep the match money, promptly holed his 5-iron for an ace. Hole 9, Railway. The main railway line runs behind the 9th green, masked by a copse of pine trees. Along par 4, this is one of the best driving holes on the course, with strategic bunkers on the right and one on the left inside the tree line. Whilst the fairway and green are less slippery than most, the rough is more luxuriant. The cheerful abundance of winds, trees, sand, thick grass and of course a ditch running down the right make a bucket and spade rather than a spoon the order of the day should you miss the fairway by much. Nicklaus in 1968, hitting mighty 1-irons off the tee, found the progress of his ball repeatedly halted by a small mound on the right of the fairway and suggested to the links management that they flatten the obstacle. They listened sympathetically, and when the Open returned 7 years later, had replaced it with a bunker. Jack was apparently not amused, and the bunker has carried his name ever since.